What a day for the Tigers in the transfer portal. My goodness.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby. And thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day, or in this case, maybe your second listen. This is a bonus happy hour edition of the show. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm very excited about an incoming visitor for the Auburn Tigers, help beef up that defensive front. We'll talk about him in a moment, as well as Xavier Atkins, the former LSU wide receiver, now an Auburn Tiger. But let's start things off. Let's go in chronological order here, and I think this will be the order of impact with the signees today. Dallas Walker IV, the former Western Kentucky defensive lineman, played a good bit of snaps a year ago, was formerly a part of the Texas A&M Aggies, spent the last 2 years at Western Kentucky. And I think this guy's going to be a solid role player at a position of need for this team. I think you have the stars. They're just young, and they may still swing for the fences for some guys who are currently playing in their bowl games or in the college football playoff, whatever. Dallas Walker's a name we've heard about for about a week, maybe even a little bit longer, and it's nice to finally see him pop. In fact, if you listened to this morning's edition of the show, you heard Kyle totally call this one. Might have happened a little bit sooner than some people expected, but whatever. Doesn't matter. At 6'4", north of 315 pounds, Dallas Walker brings a stature and level of experience that isn't really anywhere else on the roster. Auburn's got some 3 techniques with some experience. They've got some ends with experience when you look at Keldrick Falk. They don't have that nose guard, that mill of the defense just kind of, clog. But now they do. With Dallas Walker. And this is a guy who played okay in some of the big games. Like, he held his own against Alabama, played 28 snaps against Alabama in Western Kentucky's opener. And then outside of that, they didn't really play a whole lot of, higher level of competition. But you don't see a whole lot of, you didn't see a drop off of what he did against Alabama versus the rest of their schedule. So you've got to like that. And also, you've got to like the fact that he committed to Texas A&M when Texas A&M was committing, or they were getting everybody to commit. They were just dominating the high school recruiting ranks. And so this is a guy who has already kind of been signed off on by another SEC program that says this guy does belong in the SEC. And we've also seen Western Kentucky be kind of a nice jumping point to the next level. And we saw Gunnar Britton take that leap. Different position, obviously, and you can't take that same situation for everything. But I do think there's been plenty of success stories of folks who have been solid at a G5 school like Western Kentucky, taking that next step to a P4 conference. I think it's a natural step here for Dallas Walker. Now, I do think proper expectations need to be set. Like, this guy isn't a Marcus Harris. This guy isn't, I don't think this guy's going to be an all SEC type player, but I do think he's a player that makes Auburn's defensive line better. And when you look at the loss of Gage Keys, Trill Carter, Phillip Bleedy, Isaiah Rakes, Jason Jones, you need bodies. And at this point, I don't think you could be picky. And I think you could do a lot worse than Dallas Walker IV. So to me, this was a no-brainer signing. As soon as I heard his name, I started looking him up a little bit. I'm like, okay, yeah. He's not going to be a Hall of Famer. He's not going to be a guy that maybe the average Auburn fan knows, but this is a guy that makes Auburn's defensive line better. And that's all we can ask for. So Dallas Walker IV, welcome. And right now you got to think he's in the 2 deep. I think Malik Blockton probably starts over him, and Dallas Walker might be a situational type guy if you need to go larger on the defensive front, maybe in a short yardage situation. You got to think that he's going to be kind of the guy right now, unless Jordan Crawford takes that next step and potentially hops him. But I think early in the season, you need guys like Dallas Walker as these young guys continue to develop and catch up and adjust to the speed of the game coming from the high school ranks to the college ranks. So getting a guy who's played it, who's been solid, not great, but solid, I think this is Auburn got better with the addition of Dallas Walker, the fourth. Hats off to him. So yeah, right now I think it's probably Malik Blockton, and then he's right behind him. Right now, you maybe have Bobby Jamison Travis at the 3, possibly. I mean, he played some nose last year too, so I don't really know. I don't think they're done in this room. I mean, it's kind of impossible to look at what they've done, but even like losing TJ Lindsey, he kind of played a few different spots in practice last year, according to reports. So they've still got a long way to go, I think, when you talk about reassembling this defensive line room. But Dallas Walker, I think a good start, nonetheless. All right, Auburn added another player. I think this guy's a little different. I think this guy's more of an upside signing, and they're hosting one of my new favorite players in the portal, a guy that I think would really, really fit Auburn. So all that's coming up right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Get ready to tackle whether it's the college football playoffs or the closing stretch of the NFL regular season, all at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet $5. You can get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, head over to the FanDuel Sportsbook app or just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet hits. That's all at FanDuel.com. Today's show is also brought to you by the College Football Playoff. It's that time of year. The College Football Playoff is back. With a newly expanded 12-team format, it's guaranteed to be bigger and better than ever, bringing you all the hard-hitting and high-flying excitement that you love. TNT Sports coverage of the College Football Playoff begins December 21st, starting with the College Football Playoff kickoff show presented by AT&T at 11 a.m. Eastern, leading into our first matchup, SMU taking on Penn State at noon. Then the Clemson Tigers look to upset Texas in a showdown at 4 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss a moment of the action. Watch the College Football Playoff presented by Allstate, live on TNT, True TV, TBS, and Max. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day, or if it's your second listen, we really, really appreciate that as well. Please like the video. Please subscribe. The everydayers know that helps the channel a ton. Auburn adds Xavier Atkins, the former LSU linebacker. Had a conversation with Matt Moscona that'll be on tomorrow's edition of Locked On Auburn. He is the host of Locked On LSU. And I thought it was a little interesting because this is a guy who's super talented, has a lot of the traits, and it seemed like early in the season, LSU thought really highly of him. And then there were other guys in his class that kind of seemed to pass him on the depth chart. And also, according to Moscona, there's real chatter that Harold Perkins may return. And so he might be the 4th or 5th linebacker at LSU if he were to stay there. So he comes to Auburn, and this is a guy who has not played much. He has not played much. And in fact, if you care about what Pro Football Focus thinks as far as rankings go, he is the lowest rated player on LSU's defense. Do you care about that? I don't know. I'm looking more at his traits here. And his traits, I think he's athletic, 6 foot 210. If you're going to be an off-ball linebacker in this league, you probably need to gain a few pounds. And we'll see exactly what his body looks like, going into fall camp. Or do they want to keep him farther away from the line of scrimmage and maybe have him be, a larger nickel or something like that? I think he's got the athleticism to do it. It's just what does he want to do and how does his staff see him? Auburn needs linebackers. Let's just be clear. They need linebackers. But this is a younger guy. And we talked about briefly the situation that he's leaving behind at LSU. I mean, he's not ahead of DeMarcus Riddick. I don't know if he's going to be ahead of DJ Barber or not. I don't think he's ahead of Robert Woodyard. And then we all are kind of assuming Auburn's going to add a veteran linebacker via the portal. And they've got freshmen coming in that they really, really like. Is it a given that Xavier Atkins is going to be ahead of all them? I'm not sure. I love the upside. It doesn't really seem like there's a whole lot of risk here, but I do think the context of it is a little interesting. Love the athleticism. Love that he was kind of a coveted high school player. I love all of that. The skill is there. Just what does that next step look like for Xavier Atkins at Auburn? I don't know. The path to playing time is there, though, right? We can all agree that there are plenty of snaps up for grabs with the amount of veteran linebackers that are gone. Dorian Mayusi, Benaje Gote, Eugene Asante, Austin Keys, all those guys gone. So we'll see. We'll see. There are snaps up for grabs, and I'm excited to see what Xavier Atkins does as far as competing with all of that. So, yeah, two defensive guys added via the portal for Auburn today. Matt Zenitz reports that Florida edge transfer TJ Searcy is expected to visit Auburn. Got a text from Brandon Olson, host of Locked On Gators, that he's kind of heard some rumblings about this as well, as Auburn being in it for Searcy. Kind of a larger Kieran Crawford for those who are unaware, but this is a guy that, he's had 34 tackles, 4 tackles for a loss, and 2 sacks last season. This guy's a player. And I don't know if they necessarily need another edge rusher. We've talked about this before of like, okay, J-Mac comes back. They bring in Kieran Crawford to kind of be the Robin to his Batman. Now Kieran Crawford is Batman. Who could be kind of the Robin to him? And I think Searcy would actually push Kieran Crawford. I think both of those guys would really, really present a lot of problems for opposing offensive lines as far as figuring out who to block, especially if you found out a way to use both of those guys and Keldrick Falk on the field all at the same time, as well as, hoping Amaris Williams or Joe Phillips or, there's a slew of young guys that could step up. That's exciting to me. So we'll see TJ Searcy, a name to watch. Auburn's getting him on campus, and this is a big one. This is a big one. This allows your defense to have depth at pass rusher where Auburn hasn't always had that, and they're starting to kind of stack some stuff on top of itself. So that'd be very, very exciting. Don't know if he's quite large enough to play D-end, maybe in 3rd and long situations if you wanted to scoot Keldrick inside, or, Amaris Williams is kind of a chess piece too that impacts all of this. So it'd be a great question to be able to ask, is like, how do you play all of these guys in 3rd and long? That'd be super fun to see. So worth following that. TJ Searcy, according to Matt Zenitz, expected to visit the Auburn Tigers soon. Big day in the portal for Auburn. Big day in the portal for Auburn. What do you think about all these moves? Let us know in the comments down below, or check out thebarnauburn.com. Subscribe today. And we'd love to hear from you there. Feel free to tag me wherever you are on socials. I'd love to continue the conversation there. Please like the video. Please subscribe, and we'll see you next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.